This is about the year 1914 when an 8-year-old child was playing in a village in Japan. Then he saw a machine moving on wheels. The 1-year-old was first attracted to cars and mechanical parts. His name was Sucher Honda, and who knew that in the future he would. We will see the name on every small and big car. He was born in 1906 in a small village near Mount Fuji, Japan. Besides, he also used to do bicycle repair in part-time. Honda's 5 siblings had already died due to miscellaneous diseases, so his parents had high expectations from this child, but they did not bother him with studies. No, but Honda was more interested in repairing bicycles with himself. When he turned 16, he wrote a newspaper article about. He saw that technicians were needed at this automobile service station in Tokyo called Eichouki. When Honda wrote a letter to the company and was lucky that a positive reply was also received from there. That was the time. When Honda left his home and school to earn a living, Honda's dream became Tokyo ruined. Then it was broken when he reached Tokyo 8 months ago. If he thought about putting on the Honda, what would he do if he left his home and parents? On the other hand, he was being taken unnecessarily less. He was ashamed to go back to his village because he did not dare to face his parents. He was forced to 8 checkpoints after a while. His boss also started taking lessons from the workshop. Honda had a lot of interest in this lesson from the beginning. That is why he understood things easily. In just a few minutes, he had learned a lot about all types of vehicles and their parts. During this period, he also made 2 brand cars, in which the first car was the 8th Yolar and the second was the Cortis. Honda was a good mechanic till now, but in this race he was sitting as an engineer along with the driver. This is the event. After which Honda made Motor India his religion. For the next several years, he kept doing it in Eichouki and also kept increasing his experience. In 1928, at the age of 22, its owner decided to open another branch. This brand was to be based in Hamasu City, for which Malik hired Honda. Honda gave him the responsibility and sent him there. He started this new branch of 8 heights with 1 worker, and in just 2 years he expanded it to 30 workers. He had now also become a brilliant mechanic and racing driver. Taking advantage of his expertise, he of your master. This car, designed by India, had the power to run at a speed of 120 kmph, which broke all the old records. This record remained the highest record of Japan for the next 20 years. The importance of Honda was deeply ingrained in the heart of the 8-year-old Malik. He wanted to open his own workshop, but perhaps fate did not approve of it. In 1936, during racing, Honda met with an accident. In this accident, he lost his life, but his left arm was fractured and his shoulder was dislocated. He had suffered many wounds on his face and ended his life here. It was seen that he could neither do the repair work nor could he take part in the racing. After several months, when he got well again, he requested the owner of the car that he could no longer do the repair work. Rather, he proposed the idea that why not start a separate company to make spare parts. The right holder of HC immediately rejected this idea of Honda. They were already getting profits and no one was interested in anything new. On this basis, Honda decided to start a parts manufacturing company. He would open it alone. In 1936, at the age of 30, he, along with his friend, opened a heavy industry in Tokai and made his friends in Chayon Canton its president. He had already opened the company, but Honda did not have any investment to run it. He used to work for 8 posts throughout the day, and at night he tried to make engine pistons for his new company himself. For the next few minutes he continued with this routine, but he could not get any success. He had become weak due to continuous efforts, one failure after another in his path. Rock was sitting when he took admission in a university to get a degree in metallurgy. In 1939, after 3 years of continuous hard work, he finally succeeded in making a piston. Now he left it and started making weights full-time. But he did not know that there was still a lot of water present in the piston made by him. When he offered his piston to Toyota company, Toyota rejected 47 out of 50 designs. This news came as a thunderbolt on Honda. Because there was no way for him to return now, he announced his retirement from a diversified company. To understand, he started scouting the whole of Japan, went to different factories and met the manufacturers. He spent the next several years in understanding the market, and after that Honda once again made pistons. This time this piston was based on the quality of the company. He had passed the control. He started getting orders in full swing, and once again Honda saw his dreams coming true. To fulfill the orders, his company also hired 2,000 workers. Honda Sao knew that, for she was just a guest of Chanmina. At the age of 19, Japan jumped into World War II and the ministry. He took many Japanese companies under his control, one of which was Sashabi Honda. Honda was promoted to doctor. Great, and made the scenario managing director of his company, and things got worse when the company's workers were put into military service. The next 3 years were spent in extremely difficult conditions, but in 1944 an incident occurred which completely dashed Honda's hopes. During the flight, a missile hit. Honda Directory.it was felt at the factory that the situation in the entire country was getting worse and Japan seemed to be losing the war. In 1945, there were 2 nuclear attacks that broke Japan's back, sold it in 1000 and sat jobless once again. This situation was not only with Honda, but the whole of Japan was going through a very bad crisis. The economy was melting. The fight of martyr and the inflation had broken everyone's back. It was difficult to find public transport because petrol is also rare in Japan. At the same time, Honda found a small engine of the Japanese Imperial Army with which he used to run a wireless radio. Forced by his habit, he came up with an idea. Asana will also become cheap because people in far away were already very worried about inflation. So when they saw this engine installed on a bicycle, everyone liked this idea very much. Honda got a few used ones. But the demand was so high that now Honda has designed its own new engine. It was the first time in history that the Honda logo was seen on a machine. Honda did not have enough money to make these bicycles at the meat level, so he wrote an open letter to 18,000 shopkeepers. People had so much faith in Honda that 3,000 shopkeepers gave him a positive reply and also gives money in advance. In the next 3 years, Honda made a motorcycle which was launched in the name of Super Cup of Market Retirement. This model, which hit the market as soon as it arrived, was so successful that in 1958 it was replaced by America's own Triumph and Harley Davidson. Sales were also left behind because Honda was very fond of racing. That's why he decided to make Bharat bikes. It used to be a marketing tool for the manufacturing company. Within a few years, Honda's first India bike was launched, which took first place in the 1962 International Racing Competition. This race made the name of Honda famous all over the world. In 1960, Honda had become the world's largest motorcycle manufacturing company, and in 1968, it had sold 1 crore units till 62 years of its life. Honda finally got success, but the dream that he had since his childhood was not yet fulfilled. Honda is now moving towards manufacturing. He also wanted to go. Many people believed him to do so, but he did not listen to anyone. At that time, a company like already Noida and Nissan was setting up its business in Japan, and its new place in the market.it was very difficult to make. Honda launched its first pickup truck T360, which failed, and then launched S500 in India, which failed. Only 1,300 units of the bike, after many years of hard work and dozens of designs were rejected, Honda Civic was finally launched in 1972. This is the car whose new models are famous all over the world. And in just 10 years it became the 3rd largest in the world. Today we see Honda's name on cars, motorcycles, Volt engines, plane engines and dozens of power tools. In 1973, the year after the launch of the Civic, retired from the company, and then on August 1991 this journey of his life.